Hello and welcome to the COMFOCUS podcast. In this series, we dive into COMFOCUS, a starting community within the food consumer science domain. My name is Irene Rijmakers, project manager of COMFOCUS and your host of this podcast. In this special podcast series, we explore COMFOCUS. COMFOCUS is an EU-funded 4-year project. And throughout the episodes, we will cover key aspects of the background and need of this initiative, the achievements so far, impact, and future visions. Today, in the first episode, we deep dive into COMFOCUS. What is this project about? And understanding what has been achieved so far and looking ahead to the future. In this episode, I will be joined by consortium and team partners. They have been within the project from the start onwards. Welcome to the first episode. So, let's start at the beginning. Could you give a brief introduction about COMFOCUS? What is COMFOCUS about? Why was it initiated? And what are its main goals?
COMFOCUS is a starting community in food consumer science. And Karin Zimmerman came to us with the idea, I think 5 or 6 years ago, of writing a proposal. There was an EU call for a starting community, and she had experience with kind of mapping and integrating other research infrastructures across Europe. And given her background and our kind of interest in the field, and the whole idea, okay, we really need to make this science domain stronger. So we saw an opportunity to work together.
So there's an urgent need to make sure that food consumer science takes better benefit of all its initiatives, and it can only do so if it brings the initiatives together in a harmonized way. And that is what this project is focused about. So it's about establishing ways of working which would be similar across all institutions across Europe, so that the data that we collect can be interconnected much better than they can now. So rather than it being a huge number of isolated studies, we try to make it as a huge area of interlinked studies.
So it was fragmented in the way research was done. There was a fragmentation or a lack of integration in the way we measure things. So not very harmonized in that way. Data sets are isolated, so not integrated. So there was a lot of unexplored territory, so to say, that we aim to tackle within COMFOCUS by creating a community, linking data to each other, creating a research infrastructure.
That is very interesting to hear. Now that the project is coming to a close, what would you say are the biggest achievements so far? Are there any key milestones that stand out?
Yeah, the program comes to an end, so we're making inventory of that, and we've summarized it in 3 key exploitable results that we're particularly proud of. So one is the harmonized and fair data and protocols. So we have a set of measures that if everyone would apply that same measure, we could interlink the data. We also have developed a set of protocols. So if you do an eye tracking study and you follow that protocol, it means that your data can be linked. So that's an important one.
The second one has to do with what we call creating a community. So the social integration or community integration. That's about connecting people, connecting these young researchers in the open call. And we also connected not only these young researchers, but we also connected different stakeholders to the project. So we had a stakeholder forum with representatives from the industry. And by doing so, we also want to connect, we wanted to connect the academic world with the industry. And the final thing is that's all about the data integration.
So we have started to make sure that we have on the COMFOCUS knowledge platform an integrated structure where we can store the data, where we can interlink the data and can make the data available to others for reuse, so that the data are truly fair in terms of findable, accessible, interoperable and reusable.
Important step that we made is that we were really thinking in groups and with all the project members and outside the project, what does better collaboration mean? So not just for if you work together as institutions, but also for individual researchers and young research or young early career researchers, and the way we design our studies, how we structure our data, how we share our findings. We really discuss these issues and really try to make steps to improve it.
Looking ahead, what is next? How do you envision COMFOCUS impact in the food consumer science domain in the future?
I think as a result of the project, we identified key exploitable results. The first one is what we call the institutional community of the new way of working. It has to do with what I was saying about connecting institutes, connecting individual researchers to each other, creating a network of people that in a collaborative manner can work together.
It's important at this point in time that I think the COMFOCUS was a starting community. I think the 9 to 12 institutions that we have, I think there it has left behind an impression. So I hope that people will take that forward to think twice before they start a study and to think how they can interlink data.
Feel like, okay, it's so valuable to do that. And it's not easy. So we also learned that it's hard. You have all these administrative procedures. You have to ask for ethical approval in different countries, and it takes time. But I think it's worth it. And so I hope that whole idea of COMFOCUS, will continue.
Thank you for joining me today in the first COMFOCUS podcast episode. It was really nice to take the listeners along in the journey of COMFOCUS, a starting community in the food consumer science domain. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you would like to hear more about COMFOCUS, please visit our website at comfocus.eu.